is going to be the parting advice of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the well-known hadith of al-Irbad ibn Sariya radiyallahu anhu, that he said that the Messenger of Allah admonished us with an admonishment that caused our hearts to tremble and our eyes to shed tears. And we said, it seems like you are bidding us farewell. You're giving us a farewell speech, a farewell admonishment. So give us advice. He said, I advise you to have taqwa of Allah. The Shaykh said, this is an advice which is general, and it's a great advice to have the taqwa of Allah, whether whether you are alone or whether you're in public, in secret and in public. And then he said that I advise you, continuing the hadith, to hear and obey the one in authority over you, even if that is an Abyssinian slave. And then he told, and he gave an advice that's an advice for all of the ummah, that whoever lives for a long time among you is going to see a great deal of differing. And the Shaykh said this is the sickness of differing and the ikhtilafat, all the different differences that exist between people. You're going to see a great deal of differing. The Shaykh said many people say that all of the hadith or most of the hadith which contain the ummah breaking up into different groups, those are weak hadith. Some people say this. The Shaykh said, let's say for the sake of argument that they are weak hadith. For the sake of argument. Is the ummah today united, or is it broken up into different groups? It's broken up into different groups. We have them broken up into different groups in their aqeedah, different beliefs, different akhlaq, different manners, different ways of behaving. You have the Khawarij, you have the Rafidah, you have the Mu'tazila, all these different groups that the Shaykh mentioned. So the reality of the situation, even if a person were to accept the argument that the ahadith are weak, the reality is that this ummah is broken up and it's not together with the same beliefs and the same. And he said the aqeedah is the most important thing, the beliefs that a person has. That's the most important thing. So he said, did the Prophet ﷺ describe the medicine for this sickness? He said, yes. What he said is, so stick to my sunnah. The Shaykh said to return back to the sunnah. The sunnah is his methodology, his way, his guidance. And the sunnah of the rightly guided khulafa, and to bite onto it with your molar teeth. To follow his way, his guidance, his methodology. تَمَسَّكُوا بِهَا, to hold onto it firmly. And that of the Khulafa al-Rashideen. She said, and then furthermore, he gave even further advice. And he said, and keep away from the newly introduced acts of worship, these things, these new, that are brought newly into the religion. So the Shaykh said, this means to keep away from bid'ah. And he said, in reality, the one who keeps away from bid'ah is going to be upon sunnah, and the one who keeps away from the sunnah is going to be upon bid'ah, or vice versa. So keep away from the newly invented matters, newly introduced acts of worship, for all of these acts of worship are innovations, and all innovation is misguidance, and all misguidance is in the hellfire. The Shaykh said, if I was to give you a second piece of advice, it would be that you are keen and you're dedicated to learning the Arabic language, because that's what's going to save you. That's what's going to teach you the Quran and the Sunnah. And that you learn it, you make a big effort to learn it for yourselves and a big effort to teach it to your children. That's what the Shaykh said in concluding his words of advice.